Japan Station is brought to you in part by amazing listeners like you. And we've got a new Patreon supporter, Taka Shimojima. Thank you so much, Taka. So Taka actually discovered me through my YouTube channel, The Anime Linguist. So he's been enjoying my videos over there and wanted to support what I do. And well, he came over to the Patreon and joined. Thank you so much, Taka. I truly appreciate it. And one more thing, my longtime Patreon supporter, Kudo-san, upped his pledge to $10 a month. Thank you so much, Kudo-san. He's been supporting for many years now, and I actually met him in Tokyo a couple times. He actually drove me to the airport once, to Haneda Airport, when I was in Tokyo after walking the Tokaido. Oh, so thank you so much, Kudo. I truly appreciate it. You are incredible. I can't thank you enough. So Taka and Kudo-san, you guys just blew me away this past month. So thank you. If anybody else wants to join the Patreon, if you want to support what I do and make me cry, you can head on over to japankia.com/Patreon and join for as little as $1 a month. That gets you versions of the show without this stuff here and like the ads in the middle and the auto-generated ads and all that and early releases as well. So japankia.com/Patreon. Thank you, guys. Let's get into the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Japan Station.
Welcome to Japan Station, a production of japankia.com. This is the podcast where we teach you everything you should know about Japan, plus a few other things. I'm your host, founder of japankia.com and the anime linguist on YouTube, Tony R. Vega. So today we're talking about Yamagata Prefecture, another prefecture in the Tohoku region of Japan. So, in case you're not aware, this year I am going to be doing a long-distance tandem bike ride across Tohoku and Tokyo. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be going from Aomori to Tokyo or Tokyo to Aomori, but either way, that's going to be around 1,000 kilometers, crossing all of the northeast region of Honshu, aka the Tohoku region. I've never done this before, but this is going to be my next big challenge. As you may know, I've walked from Tokyo to Kagoshima around 1,400 kilometers. Next, I'm going to be doing a tandem bike ride across Tohoku. And I'm legally blind, so that's why I can't do a solo bike ride, because I would not last 1 kilometer if it was me by myself. But I am going to be doing this with somebody else. And I'm looking forward to this because I've never been to the Tohoku region. It's going to be very interesting to get to visit this new region of Japan for me. And so starting with my last full-length episode, that was like maybe 2-3 weeks ago as of the time of this recording or the release of this recording. That one was about Aomori. So I've started a series of episodes about all of the prefectures in the Tohoku region. And today we're going to be focusing on Yamagata. That's because my guest today is Alex Litz. He's the director of inbound promotion for Expedition Japan. So Alex today is going to tell us all about what he does as part of Expedition Japan. He's going to tell us about the tours that he offers, and he's going to tell us all about Yamagata because that is where he lives, and he's been there a very long time. He actually moved there during high school, and he had a very interesting experience being the only non-Japanese guy in the school in this very rural part of Japan. He talks about that, but he also tells us about why he loves Yamagata so much, what you should check out in Yamagata if you're thinking about visiting, food and language and snow and sake and hotels and festivals, all this stuff. So if you're interested in visiting Tohoku, I think this is going to be a very useful episode for you. And if you're interested in Alex's services through Expedition Japan, you can reach out to him directly or check out the Expedition Japan website. Links will be in the description or show notes, whatever you're using to listen to the show. Doesn't matter. Check the notes down below. All right, that's enough of me. Let's get into the conversation with Alex Litz. Okay, so then can you tell us a little bit about, what you do, I guess, Expedition Japan, just to give us a general idea of like what you work on?
Yeah, so I'm based here in beautiful Yamagata City, Yamagata Prefecture, We're in the Tohoku region, which sees less than 1% of all international tourists to Japan every year. Yamagata City Yamagata Prefecture on a whole, you might have heard of it, just from the news recently, it was selected for National Geographic as a 2026 Best of World Destination. So we've actually seen a big increase in tourism, I'd say even just in the last few months. Although I will say too, typically our inbound industry is mostly Asian market, Taiwanese being the biggest. A lot of them are coming specifically to ski. Thai, Chinese, Koreans, Western tourists make up only about 20%. And that's 20% of 1% of all tourists visiting Japan. Um,
Wow.
I grew up here in Yamagata. So I grew up on the coastal side. I currently live in the inland side. And, kind of whenever I got to the third year, the final year of high school, you start asking around, what are you doing for graduation? Where are you going? What are you doing? And more or less, everyone kind of hit me with, well, I like Yamagata. It's great here. But there's not really a lot of jobs. So I guess I'm going to Tokyo or I'm going to Osaka or Sendai. And, most of the people who are my age at the time didn't really see much of a future here. And I mean, I was among them as well. I went to university down in Tokyo, but the more I was away, the more I kind of realized I wanted to come back. And so, you know, after I finished up university, I did some odds and ends other work. During the pandemic is when I moved back and I was working remote at the time. And I realized, this place is just so special. No one knows what's here is the problem. And so at first I was focused on, just bringing tourism to Yamagata or just bringing focus to northern Japan. But that eventually expanded to other regions of Japan that people don't really talk about or go to. Shikoku, Kyushu. I have a trip up to Kyushu on Friday to do some scouting for some new locations and stuff. But there's a lot of places just, that aren't on the Golden Route, especially here in Tohoku where, the whole region gets 1% of all tourism that, there's great things to do. People just don't know what to do or how to do them. So I'm kind of the bridge in between.
Yeah, yeah. And you bring up something that I've noticed as well. Like I've been to most of the country. I have yet to go to Tohoku, but I'm remedying that this year. I've noticed that it can really vary quite a bit, like who is visiting that spot depending on the region, right? Like there's areas of Kyushu, or quite a bit of Kyushu is very much more like Asia, like Taiwan, Korea, China. But a lot of like Honshu area is much more like the West, US, Europe. It is very interesting. Like, do you have any insights on that? Why things end up playing out that way?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned a little bit how about the number one tourist to Yamagata is the Taiwanese.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason, a big reason I'll say is cost factor.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of Western foreigners who are flying from the United States, from Europe, from South America, it's a 14-hour, 20-hour flight. It costs upwards of, 2000 USD. And for a lot of people, it's a once in a lifetime trip. I've heard that explained a lot of the time. Oh, I've always wanted to go to Japan. This is my once in a lifetime trip. And, even if the yen is getting depreciated, the dollar is very strong right now. People are coming back multiple times. For people in Taiwan, people in South Korea, people in Thailand, it's a 4-hour flight that costs $200, $150. So for a lot of people, it's an annual trip. And especially, if you look at the Taiwanese market, Taiwan's not very large. It's doesn't snow. We have a lot of snow here. That's a big draw for a lot of people. So you can go many, many times. I have lots of Taiwanese friends who come to Japan every year, and they've seen Tokyo, they've seen Kyoto, they've seen Osaka, so they want to see something else. And the other advantage a lot of the Asian market has, not advantage, but one of the main contributors to bringing people to rural areas is that people in China, Korea, Taiwan, even some sort of Thai, can read some level of kanji, Chinese characters, especially Taiwanese. So there's not so much of a language barrier here in Tohoku where practically everything is in Japanese. There's no English menus. There's no English bus signs. So there's kind of less of a fear factor for that as well. And there's this confidence of, okay, I've been to Japan 3 times before, even if it's all in Japanese, even if it's a completely different system. I know what I'm doing. I'll be good.
Yeah, good point on the language thing. That's yeah. And also like I'm in Hawaii, and I worked at a magazine. I used to interview like travel agencies here, and there's a big there's a lot of people that go to Japan every year, or just about every year here. And something that I've noticed is there's a very it's like cruises and tours up to like Hokkaido and maybe even Tohoku, but especially Hokkaido are quite popular here, and it's probably part of the reason is the snow thing. Like we don't get snow, we don't get the cold weather, so that's all like different. And plus, you're already going to Japan a bunch of times, so for people in Hawaii, it's like, all right, I'll go to Sapporo this year or something like that. It's they're much more likely to do that, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. And again, a lot of my clients
Mhm,
specifically, um, they're looking for something off the beaten path because they've been to Japan before.
mhm,
They've seen the Golden Pavilion. They've seen Sensoji. They've been to Dontonbori and Osaka Castle. And they're
mhm,
looking for something a little deeper, something a little bit more local, where they can connect maybe with local people, something that doesn't feel like a tourist attraction. And
mhm,
that's, I
mhm.
mean, in essence, what Tohoku is. And,
Yeah.
it's part of the beauty of it. And also, one of the main challenges for people traveling here is because we don't have that pre-existing tourism infrastructure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you you ended up going to Tohoku at a very young age, at Yamagata specifically, it seems. So how did that play out? Why did you end up in Yamagata?
It's a bit of a long story, but my family's always had really good ties with Japan. My parents really respected the Japanese education system. And kind of just one thing led to another. I had an opportunity to come study here in high school. My parents took me up on that, and originally I actually didn't want to come. Um, but it was a bit of a tough love, and they sent me over here. And I remember, the first, I just went to a regular Japanese high school. Not really any sort of formal exchange program. They just stuck me in with the rest of the kids and said,
Wow,
"Ganbatte, do your best."
nice.
And I remember the first day of high school, the front page of the newspaper was "Foreigner attends high school." So it was a big deal because again, I lived in really rural Japan. Do you know? I don't know how much you know about Yamagata. If you've heard of the Dewa Sanzan, it's
I'm
the
not familiar with that. Yeah.
it's the three sacred mountains of Dewa. It's
Okay.
yeah, it's a holy site here. It's well, as the name suggests, it's three mountains.
Okay.
One of those is Mount Haguro,
Oh, okay. I've heard the
and
name.
yeah, and I went to Haguro High School, so it's right
Mm,
at the base of the holy mountain.
cool.
It's kind of the rare situation in Japan that we actually ever took a school bus to get there
Wow.
because it was really smack dab right at the base of the mountain, rice fields all around. Most Japanese high schools, even rural areas, will have some sort of way to walk there, but nope, unless you're planning on waking up at 5 a.m. and climbing, you were taking the bus, and if you missed that bus, you better hope your parent was in a good mood because they'd have to come and get you. So, yeah, I went to a real local high school. I did not speak much Japanese past simple, you know, konnichiwa, arigatou gozaimasu, nani wa doko desu ka, where is it? And it was really hard at first. Teachers didn't really know what to do with me. I didn't know what to do with me. And kind of just the way that I figured things out was by copying and watching. And I learned Japanese by every day the teacher would, as they talk, um, write as a memo what was on the board. At this time, it was before smartphones. And so I didn't really have any way to look up what I was writing down. So I had a paper Berlitz dictionary and I was looking up kanji by the radical one by one. And that's how I learned Japanese.
Yeah.
And yeah, overall, people were very supportive and helpful. I'm still friends with a lot of my friends from high school. I'm still friends with a lot of my teachers from high school. And I lived with a local family, some family friends. And again, I've been to all 47 prefectures of Japan. I travel, last year I was 250 days on the road, something like that, in a hotel. But Yamagata's always at the end of the day. I come back and I think this is home. And, I still spend New Year's with the people I used to live with, in high school. And, it's nice here. It's
Oh,
really
that's
nice.
amazing. No, like especially going to a rural place like that, it can be especially difficult and isolating in a sense. But if you can get through that, like you have an incredible experience, something that it's far more than you can learn in a language class. Like it really is special.
Yeah, I agree. I'll say the one problem I did have was Tohoku, and I mean, I guess Yamagata specifically is known for having very strong dialects.
Yeah.
We say, yeah, Tohoku Ben. Sometimes it's called Zuzu Ben, which is um means like shiver language because the it's not as enunciated as standard Japanese dialect.
Uh-huh.
But I learned Japanese from lots of Oji-chan, Oba-chan, and local people. And so when I entered university, a lot of people said, hey, you speak really good Japanese, but there's something a little off about the way you say certain words, or I've never heard that word in my life. I'll say kind of one big key example was after my nigakshiki, my college entrance exam. Um, as college students do, I went out drinking with some new friends, and the word for to throw away garbage in Japanese, the standard word is gomi o steru, to dispose of trash, steru.
Hmm.
But the word that we use in the north, and it's not just Yamagata, some parts of other parts of Tohoku, I know actually even Hokkaido uses this word too, is gomi o nageru. Nageru, which literally means to throw, like to toss. And so I was out drinking with some friends, and I had a bottle of beer or something, or it's probably soju. And I said, この瓶どっかに投げたい. And all my friends are, don't, no, no, yeah, やめて、なんか crazy American, 何してるの? And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, 投げないってちゃんと捨てなさい. And for me, they're telling me, right, because they're hearing, I want to throw this glass bottle.
Yeah,
But
you
for
want
me,
to chuck it at something. It's like you're angry or
I'm
something.
mad, I'm drunk. No, I just want to find a trash can. And so even, I speak standard dialect now. University beat it out of me, but, I still do live in Yamagata and we actually have, a few different dialects in Yamagata.
Hmm.
I grew up, well, kind of one of the cool things about Yamagata too, and, it's kind of segues, is that there's two very, very, very distinct regions, due to historical and geographic elements. But the coastal region where I grew up is called Shonai, and they speak Shonai dialect. The food there is different. The cultures there is different. Actually, the dialect is closer to Niigata or Akita because of historic trade routes. Whereas I live currently in the inland part of Yamagata, Yamagata City, and our dialect is much closer to what they would speak in Sendai.
Mm.
Yeah, and some other cool cultural things. I mentioned very different cultures. The prefectural dish of Yamagata is imoni.
Hmm.
Imoni. It's a type of potato soup. You eat it in the fall. We actually have a huge festival where it's like the world's largest soup festival. They
Hmm.
have this massive, massive cauldron that they have to stir with a forklift, or I would say a crane, and it makes about 10,000 bowls of soup.
Wow.
But yeah, Shonai, it's a miso broth with pork. But here in inland Yamagata, it's a soy sauce base with beef. And there's always a very hot contention between which of the two is better.
One of those classic rivalries.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that about Japan, that like the country is, it's a good size, roughly the size of California. That's not small, but within Japan, you have so much variety, even within like one prefecture, and a lot of it is these geographic reasons, or interestingly, like you brought up, like a trade route reason, which I also assume has something to do with the mountains, like the way it was split up, and so one population just happens to sound more like that region, and the other populace sounds like a different region. But that is just so interesting how even within one prefecture, like there can be such noticeable differences in culture and language.
Yeah, no, and I think that's one of the reasons I really do love Japan is, we say Yama no oku wa betsu no kuni. The
Yeah,
other
so true.
the other side of a mountain is a different country. And
Yeah.
I've lived in a few different places. I lived in Taiwan, I lived in South Korea. But one of the reasons I really do love working and living in Japan and working in tourism is, you can wake up in Yamagata, have one thing for breakfast, say one thing for one word for thank you, take a bullet train halfway down the country, and suddenly, you're not being able to find the same products. You're not being able to find the same foods. The language you're using is very, very different. Okinawa to Hokkaido.
Whew.
It's,
Yeah.
these very stark contrasts. I mentioned I'm going to Kyushu this weekend, and it's currently about 15 degrees down there, where here it's -5. So that's, I think, one of the reasons that a lot of people keep coming back. And, I mentioned, Taiwanese are even more and more Western foreigners. They're coming back to Japan multiple times, and they're going to places like Tohoku because it's an entirely new experience. And it feels, in essence, like you're going to another country.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm wondering, like you leave Yamagata for college, uh, and as we're talking about, there's so many different regions of Japan, and especially if you're going into tourism, there's certainly, plenty of areas you can go to focus on. But was there a specific thing that made you think like, no, I want my base to be Yamagata. I want to be back there?
Yeah, so I mentioned I went down to Tokyo for
Mhm.
university. Um, I was actually studying Chinese in university at a Japanese
Oh,
university of all the things.
interesting.
It's a long story how we got there, but I went to go study abroad in Taiwan actually,
Uh-huh.
for 2 years. So I did half my degree in Tokyo, half my degree in Taipei. And most of the exchange students in Taipei were also from Japan. And it put me in a very weird spot because, well, on one hand, I I'm not Japanese, but on the other hand, I'm from Japan. I'm from a
Right.
Japanese
Yeah.
university. And so, people were very nice. There's people from all over the country. I had friends from Nagoya, Hiroshima. Um, I have a really good friend who's from Shimane, from the Oki Islands.
Hmm.
So you kind of met people from all over Japan. And I kind of found myself almost bragging about Yamagata the entire time.
Right.
Because even among Japanese people, excluding Tohoku residents, only about 12% of the country has ever been to Tohoku. Um, and even with Tohoku, the number one city, the largest city we have here, is population of about 2 million, is Sendai. And so most people, if they are coming to Tohoku, most Japanese people, they're coming up to Sendai for a day or two. Sendai is just another, I mean, it's a wonderful city, but it is a big metropolitan city. And so they kind of get to experience that, but they don't really get to see the local charm and all that fun stuff. And I feel like even too, a lot of Japanese people never really realize how different culturally Tohoku is from the rest of Japan. And so, well, everyone would say, "Oh, like you do things like this," or "Oh, like that's how it is in Yamagata." And I just kept finding myself inviting. Please, when we go back to Japan, I'll show you around Yamagata. Oh, let's go on a trip to Yamagata together. And then during the pandemic, I moved back to Yamagata, a lot cheaper rent. Um, it was also a lot more spread out. I was very nervous about, being in a mega city during a global pandemic.
Mhm.
And I was doing freelance writing. And I just realized that, there's so much interesting history, so much culture, and people are so proud of their home that I really want the world to see this. And so that's kind of what brushed me into tourism. I can't say it was completely by chance. I had a series of wonderful encounters with people who said, this is a really good direction. You should actually work for this as a business. But a lot of great local people who supported me too, still support me. And yeah, I just really wanted people to see what I was seeing. And I'm every day I go home at the end of the day, and even on days like today, where we have, close to a meter of snow, it's freezing cold. It gets dark at, 4:30 p.m., 5 p.m., I still, at the end of the day, just kind of sit there and think, wow, I'm so lucky to live here.
It's funny, right? Like when you go somewhere else, and now like people are asking you, like, "Oh, tell me about Yamagata." Like you become a representative, the
Yeah.
unlikely representative, the foreigner that went to the school. Right?
Yeah, no, and I found actually, I have a lot of Japanese friends, I have a lot of foreign friends, but
Uh,
all over Japan, I've kind of found a trend is a lot of non-Japanese people are some of the biggest advocates for some of the most unexpected places. It's
mhm.
people who either through, I know a lot of people through the JET program. I think you said you were in the JET
Yes.
program,
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
right? They
People should
end
go to
up,
Kobe.
Kobe is wonderful. I
It
love
is. It is. It's
Kobe.
very nice. And it's
Yeah,
overshadowed by Osaka and Kyoto.
exactly. Or for a lot of people, it's a day trip,
Yeah.
yeah, you have people who just end up in these random places and they fall in love with it. And, that passion and that, willingness to reciprocate kindness drives them to study the history and the culture. And, one of my things I'm actually going tomorrow is I go to Japanese elementary schools
Hmm.
and I talk about Yamagata history.
Nice.
It's not commonly taught about in school,
Hmm.
past some very basics. Um, it's not something especially younger generation would be familiar with. A lot of the teachers aren't familiar with, so they bring in me and I say, hey, like, do you know what a cool, amazing place you live in? Do you know why the city that you live in exists? And, sometimes I have had some customers, some clients in the past who originally started with, hey, I was a little disappointed to find out that you were going to be my guide because I really wanted a real Japanese guide.
Hmm.
And there's, it's their feelings are valid, but at the same time, they'll come back to me. It's always the same ones who come back to me at the end and say, you really know what you're talking about. You really know, you put in the work, you've done the history, you've studied the culture, you've really, made it apparent that this isn't just a surface level interaction.
Hmm.
And,
Hmm.
I think, Japan right now is facing a little bit of backlash for foreign residents and for immigration. But, I think that's a trend that I tend to see, especially in the Japanese tourism industry, is that there's a lot of foreigners who really want just the world to see the amazing things that they see.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I've seen it firsthand. I've met a lot of people like yourself, and I'm sure I've even interviewed other people like that on this podcast where they really, try to get the word out about, where they live, like the place that they fell in love with. And for good reason. Like we talk about over tourism a lot in the media and all that, but the reality is most of Japan is not experiencing over tourism, and we need people like you who are shining the light on the areas that aren't experience over tourism to get people to go check out those areas too.
Yeah, no, I agree. And,
Mm.
some of the most incredible places I've been, it's, and they have so much passion and so much willingness to invite people. I recently went to is a tiny town in Mie Prefecture.
Hmm.
It's called Mie is not Tohoku, but it's called Taikicho. It's about 7,000 people, and they designed a whole tour to accommodate people who are vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or halal,
Wow.
which is very, very difficult to do in Japan. Taikicho, if yeah, shout out to Taikicho if anyone's ever interested in visiting. And they have this whole slew of activities. And their whole thing was that, we have all this food that's, fresh, made from the source, um, delicious, made with love, 1,000-year-old recipes. But we really want people to be able to try it from all over the world.
Hmm.
So, you have local places who are really inviting people in, and I think they see interest from overseas visitors,
Yeah.
and it kind of reassures them that, hey, this is worth doing. This is, my culture has value, and I think
Mhm.
that's really important, especially for young people. Um,
Totally agree.
Yamagata, a lot of my classmates from high school, or even, I see some friends and they say, you're doing Yamagata inbound. Koko nanemo nai desho. There's
Right.
nothing here. But then I tell them all the things I love. I love going Yamadera. I love going to Zao. I love going to I do a cool bike tour of some of like the local rice paddy towns. And they say, eh? going around on a bicycle on a rice field is interesting. I say, yeah, no, next time come with us. And they go and they see my clients and they see how much fun they're having. And I talk about them some local history. And they're like, oh, it really is interesting here. I never realized. So I think, one of the benefits of inbound tourism for rural areas is it really does convey the message that, where you live, especially for young people, where you live is interesting and special and deserves to be protected and passed on as a legacy.
So true. Yeah. I mean, for somebody that grew up living, for example, let's just say surrounded by rice fields, there's nothing that's not interesting. But for somebody from New York, from Miami or something like that, or from London, it's like, wow, I've never seen this before. Oh, this is how this works. Oh, that's how it's grown. Oh, this is the history that led to this. Like, it's everything is completely new to them. And, people in that situation where they grew up like that, they don't realize that.
Yeah, no. And you always say, grass is greener on the other side. There's a
Yeah.
flip side to everything. I remember a few years ago, occasionally I help with my company outbound,
Yeah.
bringing Japanese tourists overseas. And I remember we went to Colorado, which is, it's actually Yamagata's sister prefecture state. But there was a tumbleweed, which is a very, very mundane thing for people from, the Midwest, the West.
It's a symbol of there's nothing here.
Oh, it is truly the most nothing here thing I could think of.
Yeah.
But I had a whole bus of Japanese people chasing this tumbleweed down the street because they had always seen in the movies, the Westerns, Breaking Bad, the lone tumbleweed going down the street. And to them, that was just the most fascinating thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the same when I see, Western tourists taking pictures of bamboo.
Right.
To me, bamboo is bamboo. It's, it's almost a pest at this point.
Yeah.
But you never know what's going to be, interesting to someone else because it just might be something that you don't have at home.
Absolutely. It's 100%. So, okay. So for anybody that, listen to the show, regular listeners, and they've never been to Yamagata, I guess like myself, it's like, so Alex, what should I check out in Yamagata? What should I do? Well, give me some advice.
So people ask me that a lot. It's my job to tell them. Also, the biggest thing to understand when visiting Yamagata is that realistically, it is two regions. It is two different trips to Yamagata. If you're looking at logistics, you have the coastal side, Shonai, and you have the inland side, which is going to be Yamagata City. So, I say that because there's a huge mountain range in between, and it's very difficult to get from one to the other. The bus takes about 2.5 hours, maybe 3, depending on the winter. They recently, just a week or two ago, restarted the train from North Yamagata to Northern Coast. But that, again, is very, very timely, breaks up the whole trip. It's not something you can just do in the day. So, route-wise, if you're coming from Tokyo, starting in Tokyo, Niigata, coastal Yamagata, Akita, that's kind of up to Aomori. That's one route. The other route is if you're going from the inland side, is either doing Tokyo, Fukushima, or Sendai, Yamagata City, up to Iwate and Aomori. So that's kind of the clear distinction, is saying if you're going coastal or inland. You can do both. Most people choose one. If you're doing coastal, the big thing is Dewa Sanzan, the 3 sacred mountains of Dewa.
Mm-hmm.
It's Mount Haguro, Mount Gasan, and Mount Yudono. And if you climb all 3 of them, 2 of them are not very difficult or hard to climb. Gasan's a bit of a challenge, and you can really only do it in the summer. But if you do them in the order, it's called the cycle of spiritual rebirth, and it says that your soul is born anew. I highly, highly, highly recommend doing that. Mm-hmm. The other cool thing that we have, especially in the coastal region, is we have the self-mummified Buddhas.
Mm.
Specifically, there's some other famous temples, but the one I recommend is actually a much smaller temple. It's called Kaikoji. And these are people who, in life, they decided that they would like to, they've reached enlightenment and they'd like to stay behind to help guide others towards enlightenment as well. and they basically dieted for 3 years, stripped all the fat off their body, were buried alive after drinking liqueur, and after going through a mummification process while still alive. At some point, they're said to have stopped living. Um, their body is completely preserved in a meditation pose at Kaikoji Temple in Sakata City. You can go right up. There's no protective glass. There's two of them. You can see them right up and close, and you can hear the story, and that's really cool. So I have a lot of positive interactions with that. The people at the temple are super nice. They love it when foreigners come to visit. Sometimes they're a little confused. They're like, how did you find this temple? But they they have an English explanation board to tell the story. So don't let the remoteness of Yamagata discourage you. So those are my coastal recommendations, the big ones being Dewa Sansan and the self-mummified Buddhas, specifically Kaikoji Temple.
Mm-hmm.
Inland Yamagata, it's a bit broader because you have the southern and northern regions as well. The big one is Yamadera, the Shakuji Temple. A lot of people just do this as a day trip from Sendai. I recommend doing it as a day trip from Yamagata. But if you do go, there's an official guide group called the Yamaderans. And having a guided tour with them, I think, is super, super valuable. All of the guides are just so knowledgeable. They talk about their story. They talk about the story. And, it's one thing to climb up the mountain on your own. You pay the price of admission. You walk up. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But to walk up with the guide and hear the stories of how the temple was built. And the poet Matsuo Basho, he wrote one of his most famous haiku here at Yamadera. And to hear all those little intricate details, it really, really changes, I think, the perspective and how deeply you can appreciate the temple. So a guided tour specifically with the Yamaderans at Yamadera, I can't recommend that highly enough. And if I'm picking a local spot to stay, everyone knows Zao Onsen and Ginzan Onsen. Those are the two super famous ones. They've gotten very popular with inbound tourists at the moment, especially Ginzan Onsen, which is said to look like Spirited Away. I personally think it's a little overcrowded and not worth the hype. Beautiful,
right.
But it's also very expensive. You're looking at maybe goman yoman a person,
Wow.
40,000, 50,000. Very wonderful, beautiful ryokans.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask any Yamagata local person where their favorite onsen town is in Japan, a lot of them will say Hijiori Onsen, which is, again, it's in the middle of the mountains, a little hard to get to. But once you get there, you'll see why. Beautiful, mostly, if not entirely local people, some of the highest snowfall in the world. And the food there, unparalleled. The service that, usually what happens is I'll go and I'll stay and, the okami-san, the master of the house, this innkeeper, will come up to me and say, "Oh, would you like a beer?" And I'll say, "Oh yeah, I'll have a beer." Pour me one, and then sit down and start drinking with me. So it's just this really intimate level of friendliness and relaxation. They host, it's the International Snow Shoveling Festival, of which
really?
I'm a participant of in a few weeks. So It's really cool in the winter, really beautiful in the summer. And I'd highly recommend giving them a check out.
Hey guys, Tony here. If you're planning a trip to Japan and you want an actual Japanese phone number while you're in Japan, check out Mobile, M-O-B-A-L. They sell SIM cards that have both data and voice, and that gets you an actual Japanese phone number that you can use to do stuff like call hotels, make restaurant reservations, and other stuff that can come up occasionally when you're in Japan. It really does help to have a Japanese phone number in some occasions. Yes, you can get by without one, but if you're going to be doing certain things in Japan, or if you're going to be there for an extended amount of time, it can really help to have that phone number. And actually, I used this exact service while I was walking from Yamaguchi all the way down to Kagoshima, over 500 kilometers in late 2025. And I actually had to make a couple phone calls here and there, so it came in quite useful. Anyway, if you're interested in this service and you want 10% off, consider using my affiliate link, mobile.com/TonyJapan. That'll get you that 10% discount, and you'll support what I do here at Japan Station by using that link. So check out the link down below. All right, let's get back into the episode. So how you just got me really curious about the snow shoveling thing. Like, what is it, like a race? Like, who shovels the most? Like, what is the how do they decide? Like, what is this?
So, I did say that we get some of the highest levels of snow in the world. That wasn't an exaggeration. We'll get anywhere from 4 to 5 meters of snow, which for the American audience is like 15 feet.
Something like that. Like 2 feet, it's like 6 feet. So 12. Yeah, it could be over 15 feet.
Yeah,
I think.
15, 20 feet of snow.
Yeah, something like that.
Most houses in this region actually have 2 doors, one on the base level and one on the top level, because sometimes in the winter you physically cannot exit your house if not from the second floor of the home. So the rules of the festival, you have, I think, 5 or 6 people teams, and they blow a whistle and everyone digs and digs and digs, and you have to dig a hole straight to the bottom, and whoever's able to show the judges a handful of dirt first wins. And it sounds kind of intuitive at first, but you have to remember that, once you're getting in, you also have to get out. And that was the the major blunder our team made last year. Was we got really far in, and then we said, oh wait, how do we get this snow out of the hole now? And we had to kind of go back and we had to make stairs, and we came in very, very low last year. We did not do very good. I think our final time was like 45 minutes, whereas the winning team was, I think, under 10. Because there's some people who take it very seriously. It's usually Oji-san, older people.
Of course.
But it's really fun. A lot of people come just to watch. There's kind of a tradition that the night before, everyone stays in the ryokan, the traditional Japanese ryokan. And there's these huge parties, a lot of sake. Yamagata is also famous for our sake. We were, if you know what a GI is?
No.
A GI, it's a geographical indicator. So it's like, champagne has to come from the Champagne region of France, or Darjeeling tea has to come from Darjeeling. Yamagata sake was the first sake awarded a GI in all of the world.
Wow.
For the unique culture behind how we make our sake and the unique natural elements that are only found here that can only produce this level of sake. And every year at the International Wine and Spirits Awards, we get about 85% of the gold medals for Japanese sake. So it's, everyone in Japan likes to say that, oh, their sake is the best. Oh, their sake is the most delicious. Yamagata, empirically, our sake is the best.
Right.
So that's another thing I recommend, because anywhere you go in Yamagata, the sake is going to be absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, geez. That snow shoveling festival sounds really fun.
Yeah, it's going to be cold this year. Well, it's cold every year, but we have a lot of cool snow festivals too. It's we have one that takes place over in Shizu Onsen, where they make these giant snow igloos that they light up with lanterns, and they have like a big ice bar that you can do, fireworks show. I think the 14th, 15th is the Yonezawa Snow Lantern Festival, where they make these big, like, the stone lanterns at temples?
Yeah.
So they replicate those out of snow.
Wow.
And they do it all over the city. And at night they put candles. I think maybe they use electric ones now. And so we have a lot of snow. We have great skiing. But we have a lot of cool snow festivals as well. It's not just Sapporo Yuki Matsuri. Yamagata has several Yuki Matsuri as well.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. But I do assume that for some of those places, it can be hard to get to. Like, you would need to rent a car or go on a tour, like what you offer, right?
Yeah.
Like, is that the case?
Mm-hmm. So one of the biggest challenges for rural tourism is the access. And that's something, I do a lot of my job is I'm actually tourism advising with government, local operators. Access is one of the main challenges because things are spread apart. For some of the festivals, like the Shizu Onsen, the snow festival there, realistically, a car makes the most sense. There are shuttle buses in limited quantities, because again, also Yamagata has a very large elderly population. But if you don't speak Japanese, a lot of this is very difficult to figure out and very timely. It takes, you have to take the train to here, take the bus to here.
And if you miss one of those, that's it.
If you miss one, you're done.
Yeah.
So, that's a lot of the reason I think people do tend to use, people like me for travel or tourism assistance is transportation can be very difficult here. Sometimes it is really just impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Events, they try to put some sort of infrastructure in place, but the infrastructure is mainly for Japanese people. And if you don't know how to use it, it can get difficult, but not impossible. Not impossible. So that's just something to be in mind if you are traveling in this region, is that your greatest ally and your greatest enemy will be the public transportation system or lack of.
Right. I mean, getting from, the big hubs, the big cities, there is the reliable public transportation system, but it's those, out of the way little towns and all that's when you have to switch over to the buses that only come like 3 times a day or something like that, right? Or like the very, very local railways that, again, at best, they might be like once an hour.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not impossible. Mm-hmm. I don't drive. I don't have a car. Mm-hmm. I make it work.
Okay.
But if you're traveling, rental car, I think, is a really good option, especially for this region. Mm-hmm. Just as long as, if you're driving in the winter, make sure you know how to drive in the snow. This is not the place to learn. Or either, it's expensive, but biting the bullet and having a private driver for the day is really good to, have someone who can show you around. Sometimes also the drivers know really good local spots. I can't say there's a lot of drivers who speak great English, although I do have a few who I work with that are just, really wonderful, really knowledgeable, and their English is pretty good as well. So there's also, there's some fun to winging it. But if you're winging it, make sure you have wings to get back to the nest.
Exactly. Yeah. Have a plan just in case things don't work out.
I've been caught in that a few times before where I thought I remember I did a big 3-day backpacking trip up in the mountains. And I arrived at the bus station and I see there's a piece of paper on it, bus suspended.
Right.
No timeline, no nothing. Just no bus is going to come. And I had Googled and, my Google Maps said, there should be a bus in about 20 minutes. Nothing. I had to phone a friend and, can you come get me? I'm in the middle of the mountains. It's getting dark.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No, it's not exactly the same, but like I was in Kagoshima while I was walking and the train that was going the direction that I wanted to go, one of these trains that only come like once an hour, was suspended, even though Google was telling me like it was supposed to come. And if I would have had to wait like probably 4 more hours. So then what I ended up doing was taking the train that went the opposite side, and I had a bullet train pass. So I went back to the hub for the bullet train, the next one over. Then I took the bullet train back to the direction I was trying to go to, but I had to backtrack before I went. So you have to sometimes, figure it out on the fly.
1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah. But you make it. There's, but especially when you're out in the mountains like that, it really, you should have some kind of backup plan.
Yeah. And I mean, again, local people are very nice. I'd say, a really big difference between Tohoku and maybe Tokyo is that in Tokyo, if you ask someone, they'll help you. If you're lost, excuse me, which way is the station? Someone will help you. But in Tohoku, if someone sees someone who's having a difficult time, maybe looks like they're struggling, or, if you just look out of place, I know what I look like. I look a little out of place sometimes. They'll actively ask if they can help you. They'll offer assistance. And that's something I've been very, very grateful for. It's how I've made a lot of good friends, even people I'm still connected to, as people who have found me in the middle of the mountains trying to figure out, where this historic trail that's supposed to exist is supposed to be going. Um, but that's just one of the really great things about rural local parts of Japan is that local people are very, very quick and I would say almost proud to offer help. Very,
Yeah.
very warm.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I mean, yeah, I'm sure I know it's the same in Kyushu. It's happened in
Yep.
Shikoku. Not saying that people in Tokyo, Kyoto are unfriendly, but
Hmm.
there is this sense of community and a
Yeah.
sense of wanting to help that I
Yeah.
really, it makes it feel like home for me.
Absolutely. There's they go the extra mile, and there's that kindness, there's that proudness. There's also an understanding that oh, this guy doesn't know that the bus is not going to come today, so I need to give him a ride. Like, so
Yeah.
stuff like that happens too.
Yeah. And I've I've had a few of those before.
Yeah, yeah. So last area that I want to ask you about is like we talked a little bit about like the snow shoveling festival and the snow and all that. What about in the summer? Yamagata in the summer? Like I'm sure there's interesting stuff going on in the summer. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the big iconic festival of Yamagata takes place in August, beginning of August, and that's the Yamagata Hanagasa Festival. So Tohoku is very famous for its festivals, the big festivals, and the big one for Yamagata is the Hanagasa. Long story short, it's about for 3 days, 10,000 dancers,
Wow.
walking down the streets of Yamagata City, and they all have it's the Hanagasa song. It's a traditional folk song that they used to use for when they were building protective barriers for the floods of the Mogami River. So it used to be an old folk song that they would use to keep pace while passing sandbags. And so they all dance to it, and every group has its own version of the dance.
Mm.
So I say group. Sometimes it's neighborhood groups. Sometimes it's companies. So actually, our parent company has a group, and for years and years and years, they always pass it down to the new employees who pass it down to the next. Schools will send groups who, again, they have their school version of the dance that they teach the kids, and the older kids will teach the younger kids, and they pass it down year by year by year. Even too, there's local local dance troupes. There's like a hula school I always say every year and a hip hop school.
Wow.
They have a hula version of it and a hip hop version of it. And it's just really cool to see, there's this culture that of people wanting to pass down their heritage, pass down their legacy. And the whole town pretty much shuts down for 3 days as people just dance through the streets. So it's a really, really cool event. It's huge. If you're planning on coming, book your hotels pretty far in
Early.
advance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other,
Specifically where?
this is Yamagata City. They do
In city. Okay.
smaller versions of it here and there. There's like a Zao one and there's like
Gotcha.
I think there's one in Shonai, but the big one is early August, 3 days, 10,000 dancers at a time. And they wear these beautiful, elaborate costumes. They have the Hanagasa itself. It's a type of straw hat with red flowers on it. We're famous for it's the Yamagata Benibana safflower. So that's what that's supposed to mimic. And they have these swooping motions that they do, and they spin and toss the hats, and sometimes there's some acrobatics depending on the troupe. But
Nice.
yeah. And then the other one that I recommend is it's another Yamagata City one. It's May 8th, 9th, and 10th in May. It's the Yamagata Uekichi Festival, which is the largest, in terms of physical size, it's the largest festival in Yamagata. There's about 200 plus yatai, street food vendors. And it's a festival to celebrate greenery. So a long time ago, Yamagata had a fire. And the what do you call this? Daimyo of the time. He said that, hey, everyone, please plant trees. Please plant flowers. This is an order. And everyone started planting trees and flowers, and then he made it just an order to keep doing it. So every year we have part of the festival is just massive quantities of food, all this, again, it is street after street after street after street food.
Wow.
And then part of it is people selling shrubs, bushes, trees, and flowers.
Huh.
And this is not really a very touristy festival. I don't know. I've never seen much PR for this festival,
Hmm.
but for Yamagata local people, it's especially popular with students, and young people. But it's something that's very, very nostalgic for a lot of people. And, again, it's not one of the big touristy festivals, but it's a really cool way to go eat some amazing food.
Yeah.
It's a really good place to talk with people because there's a lot of places where you can just sit and eat and enjoy. And usually there's, Yamagata people are very friendly and they'll strike up conversations. And where are you from? Are you traveling? So if you're traveling, and I think that's a very big slept upon festival as well. That's in
Cool.
May.
I mean, the food sounds amazing. Streets and streets. I love that.
Yes, in Yamagata, our food is very, very good. So I highly recommend coming here, if not just to eat good food.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's not hard to find good food in Japan in general, but
No.
I as I said, I will be probably passing through in the fall, so I'm looking forward to what I can find in Yamagata.
Yes, and for fall for us, it's imoni, the Japanese potato soup.
Right.
If you're coming through the coast, it's going to be miso. If you're coming through the inland, it's going to be soy sauce.
Awesome. Okay. Well, now I know. See, I didn't know that. In case anybody wants to, reach out to you or like Expedition Japan, I know you guys offer tours. Like, can you tell them like where they should go? Like what website, all that stuff?
Yeah, so uh in terms of website, expeditionjapan.com, spelled like how it sounds.
Mhm.
You can reach out through there. We also have an Instagram. I think that's just at Expedition Japan.
Mhm.
Or I'm usually the one who's doing the emails anyways, directly through my social media. On Instagram, it's at Goldfisho. Goldfish with an O at the end. So
Got it.
those are three ways you can reach me. If you have questions about Tohoku, I'm happy to answer. But I do offer private tours, group tours, and we actually specifically specialize in school tours. We do a lot of school tours, bringing overseas schools to rural parts of Japan, connecting them with local schools and local people. So,
Mm,
yeah,
very
please,
cool.
please come visit Yamagata and please visit Tohoku. Um, I think it's really special. I love it here, and I hope when you visit too in the fall, if we can
Yeah,
see each other, that'd be great. And I hope you see love living, what makes me love living here so much as well. And maybe, who
absolutely.
knows, maybe you'll end up staying around too.
Well, I am very much looking forward to seeing all of Tohoku. Being that I've been to, like I said, most of Japan, it's rare that I get to go to an entire region that I've never been to. So I'm
Yeah,
looking
far.
forward to all aspects of it.
Okay.
But of course, all the links that we mentioned will be in the show notes and all that. And so if you're interested in going to Tohoku and Yamagata, or you have any questions, any interest in the tours, check out Alex and Expedition Japan. So thank you so much, Alex, for making time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I'll teach you two ways to say thank you in Yamagata dialect.
Ooh, okay.
The first one is in coastal dialect. We'll say mogetta no,
Oh, mogetta no. Okay.
mogetta no. A little different from arigato.
Very, yeah.
And then the way that we say it here in the inland region, more in the southern part of the inland region, is oshoshina.
Oh, one more time?
Oshoshina.
Oshoshina. Huh.
Yes. So that's
Totally
two.
different. Crazy.
Yes. Yes. It's barely Japanese sometimes here,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yes. Well, thank
Oh,
you
I love
very
that
much for
stuff.
having me, and
Yeah, thank you. Oshoshina.
oshoshina mogetta no.